Donovan Mitchell is a liability defensively as well.
No, he is not. That's no, he is not.
Liability.
Okay, go ahead.
So you said liability. That means
right.
You'd rather him not be on the floor.
He's Trae Young, is what you're trying to tell me. He's a liability. Like, you can hunt him. Well, first,
but I don't think defensively he's too far off of Trae Young. No.
What? No credit. Will,
I do think Joel Lloyd to give him buckets too, though.
Oh, that's what it sounds like to me. So, okay, first of all, Donovan Mitchell came into the league. Came into the league as a defender, and with him coming into the league as a defender, he has improved. No, he's not an all NBA performer as a defender. No, he isn't. But he's solid on the defensive end. 100% he's solid. He knows how to beat guys to spots. He's really good in the passing lane. He's actually one of the better rebounding guards in the league, especially at his size. And he's gotten better this year. Mars and I have had this conversation about how people discount, instead of it being on a person-to-person basis, people discount a guy who leads the league in steals. So, for example, Shai Gilgeous-Alexander leads the league in steals. I think Shai is a damn good defender. In addition to him leading the league in steals. Well, I can't say that Shai is a damn good defender even when he leads the league in steals, when Donovan Mitchell is second in the league in steals, but Donovan Mitchell is deficient. No, Donovan Mitchell is a damn. Yes, he's second in the league in steals. Oh, yes, he's second in the league in steals. Yes, second in the league in steals. And Donovan Mitchell is a damn good on-ball defender. And offensively and defensively, no, he's not an all-league. No, he's not an all-league defender, but he's damn good as a defender.
But stats can be misleading. Like, to me, I feel like you have to watch the game like with your eyes.
Right.
You know, sometimes like Mitchell, he could just be really good at like reading the passing lanes. To me, I don't really think just because a player is up there in steals, it necessarily means that they're holding their own defensively. Just because stats can be misleading just a bit. But I understand what you're saying. To me, Donovan Mitchell, like, if he's guarding the other team's best guard, like, I'm confident that they're gonna cook him most nights. It's like, to me, he's not the guy that you want on like a game-winning possession to be guarding the other team's best player.
Does that make you a liability? Or does it just make you not the best defender on the court?
Well, not only that, Mars, if that's true, you know, the first time they went up against each other this year, he put 43 on SGA.
I don't think SGA is as good of a defender as other people think.
Right. But, so, I mean, when we're talking about steals, for example, sure, it's on a case-to-case basis because James Harden played almost 40 minutes. I don't know about the rest of y'all, but I played basketball. I can get 2 steals if I'm on the floor for 40 minutes. Because number one, I'm going to get in the passing lane and I can get a steal. Number two, somebody throughout the course of the game is going to give me the ball one time. I'm pretty confident in that. Somebody's going to give me the ball. I'm confident in that. So with that being said, Donovan Mitchell, I watch him in the passing lane. I watch him digging down on big men, right? I watch him as an on-ball defender, swiping at the basketball, being a disruptor. He does those sort of things. He's not just a dude standing in the passing lane and getting lucky. No, that's not his game. He's a lot better defender than that.
I mean, I guess like that's fair, but to me, I just don't really think. And yes, I stand on the liability front just because if it's a possession where I just need a stop, I would take him off
and play who?
Minority. Yeah, you definitely, because you're not playing D Wade, right? You're not playing. Who are you playing in his place, even though they do have defenders? So if you're taking him off the floor, I'm trying to figure out where your logic is with taking him off the floor as a defender, because I've seen him.
But like what I just did was gave a very specific scenario. Like, and I get it. Maybe I could say that, okay, saying that he's a liability is a bit harsh, but I don't think he's a good defender. So if it's one possession, we get a stop, we win. I would take him off the court.
But if you're a liability in one situation, how are you a liability?
And not one situation, because that one situation, Miles, could be the whole game. We're talking about one possession. That's what you just said.
If you're only a liability in this outstanding circumstance.
Well, I mean, it's not outstanding because more times than not.
How often do you need one stop to win a game over the course of a season? How many times do you need that?
I say a few times, so that's fair. But
more times than not, you don't.
Yeah, he's playing 30. I don't know how many minutes. 36 minutes a game. Let's just say he's playing 36 minutes a game. And let's say of 82 games, they're in a situation where they need a stop 9 times. So 9 times out of 82 games, he's a liability for 24 seconds of the 36 minutes. But he's a liability like 0.2% of the time.
Mars, it's gonna be more times than 9 though.
How many times does a team need a stop to win a game during the course of the season?
Well, I mean, if we're talking
at the end, by the way, at the end, by the way,
that's
what we're talking about. We ain't talking about throughout the course of the game where you need to stop in the meat and potatoes of the game, and then you need another one. We're talking about it's 12 seconds. We just scored. We need to stop. All right, get Donovan Mitchell off the floor.
But you know that.
But as in a game of runs, you know what I'm saying? Like it's all one stop at a time. You know what I'm saying? It's not just like I understand that being at the end of the game is very important. But there's plenty of times throughout the game where we need to stop right here. You know what I'm saying? At the end of quarters to stop runs, to generate our own runs. Right. And I think they're all just as important. So you know what I mean? Like,
yeah, I was about to say it's not that cut and dry. You can't just say, oh, it's 5 seconds on the clock and we need to stop. No, because it could be a minute left in the game and you're playing offense, defense, and you're substituting out. We see that all the time. So like I get what Will's saying.
Take out Donovan Mitchell.
No, they do not.
They might not. Will's saying that he believes that they should
offensively.
Yeah, but if we're going offense defense, that wouldn't matter. Not to mention the Cavs' defensive rating in the clutch is top 10 in the league. So
they got the second best defense overall in the league.
They seem to be surviving with Donovan Mitchell out there.
Right.
But I mean, if the argument is Donovan Mitchell guarding the opposing team's best player for the last possession of the game is where you don't want him. I mean, sure, but then I think there's a lot of liabilities in the NBA. Like, I don't think that's what makes you a liability, because in this outstanding circumstance where you have to guard the best player on the opposing team for one possession.
I was giving an example. I was giving a very specific example. Just to
what I'm saying, though, Will, is if you're taking him off the floor, who are you replacing him with? Because I'm having a difficult time that Rudy Gobert is a liability when he got to stop Joker to win the game. I'm having a difficult time with that logic because that doesn't work. So who are we? And if I'm taking Rudy off the floor, who am I replacing him with? If I'm taking SGA and I don't know, let's see, he's got to stop James in order to win the game. If I'm taking him off the floor, who am I replacing SGA with?
You asking me?
Yes.
I don't know. I'm not the coach. I'm just saying. The only reason like that I brought up that real specific scenario was to just kind of like drive home the point that I was trying to make. In terms of, I think people overrate Donovan Mitchell's defense because it looks like he's giving effort. I'm not saying that it's just like a turnstile in terms of like he can't guard anybody. But what I'm saying is, if my best player is being guarded by Donovan Mitchell, I feel real confident that that he'll score. That's all that I'm saying.
But there's a reason he doesn't guard the opposing team's best player.
Yeah, because he's not that good defensively.
And because he's good at what his job is, which is A, to play passing lanes, and B, when teams do try bring him into the action, he's great at hedging, he's great at showing and recovering, and he's great at staying out of those plays, which is a sign of good defense. Teams who just give up switches every play get their lesser defenders cooked. But if you're good at being able to stay out of the play, that's still good defense. That delays the offense, that doesn't give them the matchup they want. He does those things. That's good defense.
So you're telling me he's a good defender, right? Or I don't know if you say very good, but just a good defender. But
I think he's
staying out the way. But so defensively, he's staying out the way. So then, like, how are you considering him?
That's not what he's saying. No, that's
not what I'm saying is, if there's a matchup that a team wants, and for the Cavs, it's often Donovan Mitchell or Darius Garland because they are both small, 6'1", 6'2", however tall Donovan Mitchell is. He's good at understanding that teams want that matchup. And by not giving them that matchup, you take time off the shot clock, you keep your defense set, and he's great at making those extra rotations that he doesn't give up wide open shots, which is why in the pick and roll, he's been a very good defender this year because he doesn't give up switches for no reason. And when he's trying to be brought into the action, he makes sure he hedges, he shows and recovers, he does all the things that don't give teams the matchup they want. Now, I can understand the Cavs pick and roll defense isn't great because of him. It's better because of guys like Jarrett Allen and whenever Mobley's in the lineup. But him playing his role on defense, by definition, would not make him a liability because the defense isn't suffering with him out there. I'm not arguing Donovan Mitchell's a good or great defender. Chill thinks he's good. I'm not going to push back on that too much because I think he's solid. I think he's solid, slightly above average. But calling someone a liability because on an island against the best offensive players, they're going to lose. There's like 5 people who aren't liabilities in the NBA. Like, I know you said Anthony Edwards is better. I promise you, Anthony Edwards on Steph Curry with no help is getting torched. The reason
the
reason he looks so good in isolation is because you have Jaden McDaniels who can dig in from the nail. You have Rudy Gobert on the back line. You have help defense, which exists in the NBA, which no one is complaining about. But because of those things in place, Anthony Edwards can look better in isolation. If you put him on an island with no help, he's also going to get cooked. Any great defender in the league who you think of is going to get cooked on an island. That's the nature of the NBA today.
I'm watching the Bulls.
That'll make you a liability.
To your point, Mars, I'm watching Kobe White fry Jaden McDaniels on an island. There's nobody helping him, and he's just blowing past him. Now, is Jaden McDaniels not a good defender? Do I not want Jaden McDaniels on the floor and the meat and potatoes in the game, or on the last possession of the game to stop somebody? Hell yeah, I want him on the floor. But when you have a defender, or when you have an offensive player like that, and how wide open the game is, one-on-one, it's gonna be tough for guys.
No, I know it's gonna be tough because, like, if there's no help, right, and you got 24 seconds, and if you're in isolation, yeah, it's gonna be hard to stay in front of somebody for a very long time. I understand that, but we do have to acknowledge that there are guys who would be better at doing it than others.
Mm-hmm.
Who though?
That doesn't make the ones who are worse liabilities.
Why not?
If there's only the league has 450 players.
Yes.
But we understand not every team runs 15-man like depth. So like 5 people don't play. So they run maybe 10-man, 9-man rotations. So that's about 300 players. If there's like 20 people who on an island can be trusted to stop someone consistently, are we saying the league has 280 liabilities?
No.
I think Mars, if I'm not mistaken, right? So you said, let me just get this out. You said that he's good on defense because he recognizes not to get switched on to other guys.
He's good at what his role is on.
Good at what his role is. Okay.
Yeah.
So if I'm on defense and my aim is to not get switched on this guy, I'm a liability.
How?
Because
you're ducking.
Because exactly. Because if I can't. Let me get it off real quick. I'm saying, like, if I know that all I can do is give a quick hedge and retreat, I can just show and get out of there, then I feel like that's a liability, because if I'm not allowing myself to switch on this defender, if I know I can't guard him, then I'm a liability, because it is chill town, because what happens is I'm directly minimizing the action we can do. I'm slowing us down on defense because it shows that we're not allowed to do certain rotations because I can't be switched on to Shea. I can't be switched on to this person. So if I can't switch on to them, I'm a liability. Now, that's just what I heard.
So if that's the logic,
then the only people in the league who aren't liabilities are the people who can guard 1 through 5. So the only non-liabilities are who? Bam.
And that's not everybody.
Okay.
Because no one can switch on to everyone in the NBA.
We've talked about this. We've talked about this before. Like, as a big man, I don't have to. And even with certain rotations, you got to have a scheme where it's like I can't switch and stay on this guy whole possession. You know what I'm saying? Like, as a liability
if you can't do that.
Okay, well, fine. He's a liability. He's a liability. That's cool. He's a liability.
You can't switch on everyone. You're a liability.
That's not exactly what I was trying to say, but that's cool. That's cool. We can move.
Yeah, because I feel like I'm trying to hear. Like, so, like what I'm saying is, obviously, like if Donovan Mitchell gets switched on to Joel Embiid, right? Like, that's not fair to call him a liability because he cannot guard a center. Like, I feel like that doesn't really make too much sense just because of the.
So what makes him a liability then, Will?
Because of his size, and I don't believe that he can get much stops in a.
We're talking about switches right here. Hold on, we're talking about switches here. So when he gets switched on to, I don't know, a lesser guy, if he gets switched on to Devin Booker, is he a liability?
Not necessarily, because I think that Devin Booker will give most people buckets, but the reason that I'm saying that Donovan Mitchell is a liability is because I don't believe that he can guard most people in his position to a good level. Obviously, stars are going to always get their buckets.
Who does he guard?
So if he gets switched on to DiVincenzo, is he a liability?
I think DiVincenzo will give him buckets.
No.
So when the Cavs play, who's Donovan Mitchell guarding?
No, you tell me.
You brought this up.
I'm not claiming it's a liability.
No, but no.
You said we have to watch. We said we have to study defense with our eyes. We have to watch the games to see what's going on. So based on watching the games, who's he guarding?
Right, because I don't think he's a liability when he gets switched on to DeJounte Murray. I don't think he's a liability. I think he can handle himself against DeJounte Murray. Now, would DeJounte Murray score? There's a lot of guys in the league. Most guys in the league can score. Is he going to torch Donovan Mitchell? No, I'm not trying to hear that right there. If he gets switched on when he gets switched on to Dante DiVincenzo, I think he can handle himself against DiVincenzo when they're in the playoffs. So is he a liability again?
Okay, so the main issue that you guys have with what I said was I called him a liability. Like, that's the main issue. So if I said that he's just an average to below average, in my opinion, defender, would it still be the same kind of conversation, or would you guys more?
I think he's average.
I wish you would have just said that in the beginning.
All right, fine.
Well,
fair enough.
There's a major distinction between average and liability.
Okay, but for example, right, like when people thought that the Knicks should have traded for Donovan Mitchell, I said no because I thought that would be one of the worst defensive backcourts. I mean, yeah, in the NBA. So, like, I didn't like that move because of that reason. So, okay, maybe you could say that liability is a bit too harsh. But I don't think he's a good defender, period.
It's the player choice way. Yeah, them boys don't get it started. The player choice way. Yeah, the player choice way. Come and switch lanes into the player choice way.